Greetings. It's a bit cold outside here. I'm outside past my little gate, backyard gate, fence line. I have a little opening so I could come back out here, and there's just a field, a big field, somebody else's field. A hilly field with the graveyard up there, Cemetery Hill. But tonight's supposed to be a total eclipse at like 11:27 or 11:30 or so Pacific time. I think it's not quite 10 o'clock right now, so like an hour and a half or more. It's supposed to be a total eclipse and a blood moon. So right now it's supposed to be in the dimming phase. I don't remember it ever lasting that long or taking that long to, maybe they're different, maybe they're not all the same. Last time I remember seeing it a few years back, like it wasn't dark for very long at all until you could see the crescent come back. It was just a few minutes, and then not even like 20 minutes or a half hour or something, it was like done. But according to this, it won't be done till like 3 at night, which the world calls 3 in the morning Pacific time. It's showing it's 36 on my app here, but it says it feels like 31, which that seems like a fitting number. It does feel colder than 36 out here with the wind blowing a little bit. But it's hard to imagine anyone believing that a rocket went up there and posted a flag on the moon 200-something thousand miles away in a vacuum where cars wouldn't start, people couldn't breathe, rockets wouldn't have any kind of burning going on, as if that monstrous amount of fuel being burned so viciously fast could even go 200-something thousand miles before it all burns up the fuel. It's nonsense. They all curve. They go away from the people watching the rocket. You can't see it anymore with your eyes. You can't see it with binoculars because it's going so fast away from you. You could see it curve. You could see it bend. You could see it start going level like an airplane. It's going away from the crowd. And then nobody sees the last half of the trajectory. It goes down into the ocean every single time, every rocket ever launched. That's what happens. But a friend, another believer, a friend, has shared a bunch of things that I'm not going to even try to go into detail right now. It's a lot. It's a lot with all kinds of different movies, shows, with the numbers, gematria, Trump, just a ton, all lining up to a Pi Day coming up on Saturday, and tomorrow is Friday, the 14th, with movies and shows and the numbers lining up to something possibly happening tomorrow or Saturday, or Saturn's Day, which is Pi Day, I believe. Something that would be important to the elite frogs that rule the world, that think they're gods, but they're nothing. But this total eclipse, and on this day specifically, this night and tomorrow being Friday, possibly a Black Friday, meaning like a blackout, maybe a bombing, maybe an assassination on Trump, whatever. These are the things that have been mentioned. And that wouldn't surprise me on Trump, since 2 assassination attempts supposedly on his life. So a third time, sort of conditioning everyone to believe what's coming. The last president of the old world order, the 47th president, and the numbers going back to the United States and the 1776 foundation and Washington, and there's too much. There's too much. The 45th president and the 47th president, which equals 9/11. 4, 5 is 9, and 4 and 7 is 11. So Trump is 9/11. And the last Trump that I've been saying for a long time, which I don't even think I fully knew what meant, maybe until now, that he may just be the last president of the old world order, the 47th president, the end of the way things are as we know it now, because they want to bring in something different through a lot of sacrifice and bloodshed and mayhem and ritualistic wickedness. Looks like the clouds are blowing over right now, over the moon. I guess time will tell, but could be pretty bad. Could be a pretty big shift. And that really does make sense in my own mind, that the last Trump means he's the last president of this country, of this old world order. That the old Bush, the first Bush, with that freaky, eerie New World Order speech, and his utter prideful confidence in it coming and being successful, and it will be, he said, to bring in a new world order. We're not the law of the jungle, but the law of the United Nations, and blah, blah, blah. And when we're successful, and we will be, a new United Nations. Yeah, it's freaky. That was a long time ago. And then, of course, the second Bush happened to be president while 9/11 happened. And all of these things that my friend has shown are pointing to the second 9/11 on specifically America, primarily. That something's coming on, some kind of judgment, some kind of delusion, some kind of wicked thing to bring in a new world order. And I think they want to see a lot of people die. That's who the devil is, after all. And we might be in the time right now where the devil is unleashed, or his restraint is literally unleashed. Because to some degree it's been on a leash all this time, and then when it gets pulled back a little bit, things like World War I and II happen. When it gets pulled back fully in the end, then who knows what that might look like. But 2 days or 2,000 years away from 31 AD is 2031. 2 days away from Messiah's death and resurrection is 2031. And it seems to all be lining up, especially after the things that I've read that my friend has shared, that she was given specifically, and wrote all these things down. Massive amounts of connections, all written down over a lot of time, hours and hours spent. And surely those things all mean something pretty significant. This is no joke. My hand's freezing, got it in my pocket. Switch hands here. "9/11 came suddenly, and no one expected it. So it sounds crazy. It even sounds crazy to me with my own, my own thinking and understanding and carnal mind. I can see it through that lens. I could see how it looks crazy. I see it. But that's how it's going to come. It's going to come suddenly when nobody expects it. That's how it's going to come. That's how the second 9/11's coming. And it's going to come. I don't know for sure if it's tomorrow and the next day, but it seems to be pretty strong. But it is coming. It is coming. The chaos has to come. The unleashing of the beast has to come. The restraint let loose has to come. Like we read in Genesis, in the beginning it was darkness and chaos and void and blackness and no law. It was lawlessness and chaos. That's what chaos is. That's the beginning. That's the very beginning words of Genesis. That's how it's going to end. That's the beginning is the end. He declares the end from the beginning. That's how it's going to end. That's how it's going to end. A darkness, a chaos, a blackness, an evil, a lawlessness. Chaos. That's how it's going to end. And there's really nothing to be looking forward to something like that. But if we're in that time, then we can't ignore it. And I believe we are. I believe it is right around the corner. Things might be getting crazy. And all these things, the letter of his word, I see that these people that are into these ritualistic, symbolic, occultist garbage because their heart is full of evil and everything they do is with evil intentions, and that's what makes something evil, is an evil heart with evil intentions. That's what makes something evil, not the numbers by themselves that they're evil. It's the person's wicked heart and its intentions that make something evil. Lost my thought now. But they're clearly into these things. They always have been. They always have been since the beginning of creation. Since Jerusalem, carnal Jerusalem. Since the kings of Jerusalem, they've always been into these things. And bloodlines and occultist things, thinking that they're of the Creator when they're in an actual delusion the whole entire time, their whole entire life doing evil while believing they're righteous and a shining star and shining like the moon, of which they say does not shine its own light because this world is darkness. It has no light of itself. The moon is a reflection of the sun's light, and yet it's supposedly colder in the moonlight than in the shade. A 180 type of light is reflected. A completely different light, a cold light, is reflected from the sun, from the moon, coming from the sun. What a bunch of hypocritical nonsense, lies. It's its own light, just like we read, and the stars are each its own light. It's not something you land on. Nobody can go that high. And it's not 200-something thousand miles away, but nobody can go anywhere near as high as the moon is. Nobody's ever been to some moon. Nobody's ever been to the god of Mars. And nobody's been to Saturn, of which they all worship, these weird pagan Saturn gods. But some of the connections are really eerie and freaky. Some of the movie connections from years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, they seem to point to this day, to this coming day, to this specific day, this specific eclipse, total eclipse. Those two towers falling on the first 9/11, that's a strong symbol. And it's been how long since then? 2, 3, 4, 23 something years. September will be 24, right? 23. I think. 23 years since 9/11. That's pretty fitting too, I think. 23. A little over 2 decades, not quite a full generation. Within a generation, the judgment of America and the rest of the world coming. It seems a little too fitting. Prideful people think that nations never fall. All the nations have fell. Everyone that's ever existed has fell. But like we read in Ecclesiastes, nobody ever believes it in their heart. Whatever's happened in the past will happen again. Whatever people are doing now has happened in the past. All these things will happen and repeat over and over again until the very end, when it's all taken away and burned up for something new. A new heavens and earth, where actual good dwells, where actual righteousness dwells. Hard to imagine what that would be like in this kind of world, where it's only evil and darkness continually. And yet darkness is coming. That's how dark the darkness is that's coming. It's already a dark world. It's already dark, and yet darkness is coming. The total eclipse is coming to this nation, to others, to the world. And I don't think anyone's going to really believe it. No one believed anything. No one saw anything. Maybe some people on the inside, if they knew something about the other 9/11, but who believed them? If there was a few, nobody would believe them. Nobody would believe a second 9/11 coming on such a great nation. Something far bigger. Those 2 towers falling symbolize America's destruction. That it's around the corner within a generation of those towers falling. That's what it symbolizes, that it's within 1 generation, that its collapse is coming. Those 2 towers, that's a massive symbol. And those towers fell. And freedom is a delusion. The Freedom Tower is a delusion. They want to make everything one, everything 2 into 1. They want to make the whole world into one. And they're going to have to try, I suppose, killing many people, maybe billions, to do that. People have been talking about civil war and wanting a civil war. It's pretty insane to want that from your heart. Just might get it. They just might get it. Everybody that wants a civil war, you just might get it. Well, I think that's going to be it for now. I think I do see a change in it right now. I don't think you can see it through the camera here because that light's going to look like fuzzy. It's hard to tell. It looks like it looks like part of it's a little darker, but I don't know for sure. Maybe not. I have to believe soon that it's going to start looking like it's eclipsing. I don't know what time it is right now. But I think I'll end it here. I would think it good to, well, it's always a good idea to pray for all believers, wherever they are, however many there are, a few in this world, this evil world, to pray for all of them. Nobody believed Noah as a type of the things that would come someday, as the second true fulfillment of that. And yet it's always true spiritually. That judgment, that flood is always here, flooding everyone spiritually. But the flood, I guess people want to see with their eyes. That's coming. You want to see it, it's coming. Flood's coming and no one believe it. In confusion, in confusion, wanting evil things for the wrong reasons and all of that confusion. And then trying to take it back and say, I didn't want this, I didn't want this. That's what happens every time. Can't say you didn't want this now. Too late. Tiny little speck on Earth inside a big creation under the dome, under the firmament, under the ceiling of heaven that nobody can go to or penetrate. No man can do this. No one can escape. And nobody can go too far south unless they would like to die before they hit the edge or the ends of the earth. They die before they could ever get there because of extreme cold going away from the sun further south in any direction. The circle of the earth. These people know these things. They know they lie. They know they lie about what the creation is. They know they lie. They send it down from there, from the top of the pyramid to the masses to deceive them all, always deceiving. And then they leave their little signs and sprinkles of in your face, in what's it called? I can't think right now. As a mockery, in plain sight, as a mockery. They leave you little signs and symbols and things that they have the knowledge of and nobody else does. And this is how they feel wise. This is how they feel like they are gods with all the power in the world. These are the Wizards of Oz that nobody sees because they're the biggest cowards in the entire earth. They're afraid of being spotted for what they do and the wicked children that they rape and kill for their power and their blood sacrifices. These people stay in the shadows. They're not seen. Whatever is seen is purposely put on the stage for us to see. It's some kind of act. It's some kind of deception, as every image is in this damnable world, evil world. I wonder why we read love not the world or any of the things in it. Maybe because it's all evil. All of it is a lie. All of it is a deception. Every bit of it is the intention of deception. And every image is a deception. And these images are sold to the people, to the masses. False prophets selling their lying doctrines and their lying images to the masses. Meanwhile, Trump is saying that America is going to be great again, great again, great again. This thing, hyping people up, pumping people up. Maybe it's because it's a massive deception. It's the opposite of what it looks like. It's going to be real dark. It's going to be America's downfall. That's why he's saying make America great again, because it's coming. The exact opposite is coming. But they want you to believe a deception at all times. These people aren't what they sell. They aren't what people see on the cameras. Staged. Purposely staged, carefully chosen words every single time. Sure, they slip up and you can catch some of these things sometime, but it's all purposely staged and acted. All of it. That's why they love that quote so much from Shakespeare. Because that's who they are. The devil takes pride in what he is. And he's a fool. He's in delusion. But if Jehovah takes off the restraint of the devil, all of it, then the unleashing of the beast is what's coming. That's what's coming if that's what he does. Massive delusions coming. Bigger delusions, grand delusions. It must have looked insane for Noah to be warning people. They've never even seen rain, I don't believe, and yet a flood's coming, enough to wipe everyone out. He must have looked utterly insane. That's what pride is. It doesn't know what times it is in. Just like the Jerusalem didn't know what time they were in, Messiah warned them too that the destruction was coming within that generation, and it did come. They were wiped away. People think it's not coming for this same country, this great Christian country, this spiritual successor of Jerusalem, if you will, in a wicked way that's more divided than ever, the worst it's ever been. It's coming. And no one's going to believe it in their heart. It'll be too late after. Just like, you can't believe something once it comes. It's just calling it for what it is. The grass in front of me is green. That's not faith. That's not belief. It's too late once you see it. You will forever not believe once you see. Because the definition of faith is not seeing. That's believing, is believing while not seeing. That's faith. Seeing is literally the opposite of faith. You can never believe by seeing. It is getting darker. I could see it. It won't show, I don't think, on the camera. It's getting darker. Yep, it's starting. The bottom portion of it right now is starting to eclipse. I don't see the round edge anymore. This might be the last one I ever see. Might be the last one anyone sees. I don't know. I wouldn't know right now when the next one is, but I'm assuming it won't be so important.